My name is Tabitha. I am 45 years old. I am half Canadian, half Japanese. My father met my mother in Tokyo, Japan around the mid-70s. Worked for the Canadian Foreign Affairs, what today is called the Global Affairs. My mother was in Tokyo and they met. They courted and dated, and then my father got posted to Africa and they continued their romance by letters. He proposed and she flew out to Ethiopia to get married with him. A diplomat is it's a generic job description, really. Diplomats are representatives of one country in another. I was born in Nairobi, Kenya, 1977. Then 2 weeks after my birth, was relocated or lived in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. After Ethiopia, we went to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and then from Malaysia to Brazil in Sao Paulo, from Brazil to Venezuela, from Venezuela to Italy, Italy to the Kuwait, went back to Italy. After that, I moved to Burkina Faso, which is West Africa, in Ouagadougou, Burkina. And then from Burkina, went back to Venezuela. From Venezuela to Canada. Then from Canada to Panama. And then from Panama back to Canada, back to Panama, back to Canada. Living as a diplomatic's daughter has a lot of advantages and some challenges. The advantage is that obviously I got to see the world and lived in multiple different cultures and learned about them, learned about food, learned about different religions, you know, learned different languages. I was able to speak, you know, 3 to 4 different languages by the age of 6. You know, as growing up, not a lot of kids had the same experiences that I did, making me more open-minded and I would say even liberal, accepting of different cultures and religions. Some of the challenges is that when you are a child being uprooted every year to 2 years into a different country, different school, you're always the new kid in school. You're always starting from zero. You have to meet new friends. And by the time you know, get a little bit settled in, you pack up and go to a different country. In the international schools, it wasn't not common. We had different mixed children a lot of the times. It wasn't unheard of to have, you know, mixed parents. We would have other East Asian countries, you know, East Asians as well, right? Sometimes a couple of Japanese, sometimes they were Korean, and sometimes they were, you know, Chinese. Living with my father, it was very much the same type of life, right? Because he was the diplomat. With my mother, it was a little bit different. She was in a long-term relationship with her common law partner, who was Italian, and a lot of her time we lived in Italy. It was in a small town by Pisa, and she had a business, so my life over there was different in that sense. The school that I went when I was in Italy were all Italians, with a few Argentinians, for example, 1 or 2, but they were all generally Italian. I went to A.Y. Jackson in Canada. I was about 15 or 16. I started grade 10 there. I think the one thing I did notice, because it's a high school in a suburbia, most of the kids already knew each other from grade school. And so I was starting from scratch again. And I think the difference is that it was not a diplomatic school. It was way more segregated. That's not something that you really have in international school where there's diplomats, right? Everybody's kind of like a new kid. It was a different type of mix that is not as common in Ottawa back then. I never exposed or showed my East Asian side. I think it is the subconscious, especially when you're a teenager, is to try to fit in and be like the other kids. And when you're not, you make, at some level, a conscious level for that. People would come up to me and ask me, where are you from? That is the hardest question for me to answer. Why it's the hardest? What dictates that you are from anywhere? The country that you were born? The country that you were raised? The cultural or ethnic backgrounds of your family? What dictates where you come from? I leave that up to you guys to figure out.